Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest, episode number 73. We're been stuffed from all the leftovers, except for Eric's, because he didn't celebrate. Did you celebrate Thanksgiving?
No, I wait for the real Christmas. You guys base test it.
Okay. This is like practice Christmas.
Practice Christmas.
This isn't real Christmas. This is like a warm up.
You gotta rev up the engines, right?
Exactly. I want you guys to test it for bugs, and then I'll enjoy it next month.
Yeah, we're beta testers. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great way of looking at it. Did you get anything for Black Friday or Cyber Monday?
Did I get anything? I don't really think so. I think I purchased some more gym equipment, but that was not even on Black Friday deal. I think I'm just addicted to buying it. I'm just like, oh, I don't have space for this, but I'm going to buy it. It's
nice.
Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I spent a week thinking about buying a Ring doorbell because then at least I can hear the postman when I'm not there. But then I just ended up not buying it, and then the deal was gone.
Probably good. Google having a camera in your house is probably not the best idea.
True. And then I contemplated buying a new electric toothbrush, but then by the end of it, I was like, but it doesn't do anything that my current electric toothbrush doesn't do. True. So I probably shouldn't buy this. So this year, I actually survived and didn't succumb to the Black Friday sales.
Nice.
Nothing.
How about you? Nothing.
I got 2 SanDisk SD cards for $20 each. They're 128
How
gigs.
big?
128 gigs.
How fast are they?
They're for 4K footage, 4K video.
Depends how fast you throw them.
Yeah, it's,
right. It depends on how good your arm is. Yeah.
I think they're $20 each. I was like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, right? So
I don't know. I don't actually know how much memory cards cost anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like they used to be super expensive.
Well, if you go
now
to
it seems like they're cheap.
If you go up to a terabyte, then yeah, it's expensive. Well, I mean, expensive is still relative because it's technically a hard drive at that point. And then they got the higher speed specifications, and those also skyrocket. But the majority of the tech out today doesn't need anything faster than what's already available for that stuff.
Yeah. All I know is like a couple of like the newest cameras need like super high speed ones that are still expensive. So it's best to just not buy those cameras.
Yeah, exactly. Just save yourself the trouble. Don't worry about it. You have to spend thousands of dollars on storage mediums. Don't need it.
Yeah, it's like buying a PS Vita. Just you're gonna need all this like new storage. It's gonna be really expensive. Just don't buy it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty much.
I have seen the SanDisk memory cards that are Nintendo Switch like branded. Are like 4 times the cost of like other exactly the same cards.
But it's worth it because
that
it's got
adds
a
up.
star on it.
Right, it's got a turtle shell on it.
Yeah.
How else would you differentiate your SanDisk cards?
I have no idea.
Speaking of Nintendo, have you guys seen the footage of Super Mario World in Japan, the theme park opening next year, February the 4th? It looks like happiness and magic. Great.
It just slammed into each other at like a melting point. Just.
Yep, it's like literally like you know like the Will It Blend like Nintendo just took the Will It Blend blender and took happiness and took magic and just put it in there. They're like, hey, have it. And you know what? I don't even like theme parks. I don't like people. I don't like there being too many. Like it's just no. But I'm like I need to go there. Like I have to be there. And I know it's gonna be hell because it's good. It's like it's post lockdown, so people just want to get out and do stuff. Japan, they love to queue. This will be like you have to queue for 10 days just to get on one ride. But I'm like,
do they have like some kind of special pass that you can buy to like skip the lines? Because I'm all over that pass.
That is the fast pass.
The fast pass is the way to go.
No, the 10-day line is the fast pass.
Oh.
But I'm just like, I have to like at some point, probably not when it first opens, because I want to make sure it's not just like some hotspot for just like. And also, I need to wait till the world's actually back to normal. But
yeah, it'd be nice if this pandemic kind of cooled off a bit before I go to a theme park.
That'd be nice, right?
But it just looks so cool. When you look at the pictures, I'm just like sometimes the pictures they don't even look real. It's like, is this a render? It's like, no, this is actually. It looks like they've just taken a slice out of a Mario game, and it's perfect.
It is. It's really impressive. Like one of the roller coasters is kind of like a Mario Kart theme.
Yeah,
and it looks like Mario's Kart. Like it really does. It's an in real life Mario Kart. It's amazing.
Apparently that one as well. It's got like a game component to it where like you are on the roller coaster, but then you're also playing Mario Kart on a screen. So you're racing the people on the roller coaster in a game as well. So
really,
so it's like what? So, yeah,
that's awesome.
It looks so cool. It looks so
So when are we going?
I think I mean, we need to go next year. I think it has to. I think maybe right. Nintendo, if you're watching this,
book those flights before it gets too expensive.
True. I think Nintendo, if you're watching this,
book early.
you should invite us. You should invite DCP so we can do a podcast from Nintendo Land.
You know what, Eric's? I think you're onto something. I think so. You're right. Nintendo, let's make it happen.
We can imagine if all of us were sitting on like the Mario pipes, like 4 green pipes, all of us just sitting there, just chatting about games. Only Nintendo for that episode. Nintendo special.
The Nintendo special in Nintendo Land in Japan.
Exactly.
I like it.
Completely zero bias.
I think we can really open we can really open this up to like a lot of brands, right? Nintendo, we do the Nintendo branding. You know, we're walking around a lot, so we'll get the Crocs sponsorship.
Yeah,
like we're gonna be playing some video games, and we're gonna need some Scuf branded, flappy paddles.
We need to stay hydrated, so we'll have to be like sponsored by like Voss water.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds delicious.
That's a stupidly expensive. You know the fancy bottles that come in the glass bottles with the silver lids, and it's like, it's like that's the mad
hydration. Yeah, why don't more gamers have water sponsorships?
I genuinely would really like because the thing is like we're always like really particular about like our sponsors anyway, right? And I'm just like there's always been kind of things where it's like you kind of get approached by I have nothing against people that use it, but I'm not personally one that like believes in those like energy stuff. So I'd never be partnered by like, hey, G Fuel or this. I'm just like, just drink water. But I like 100%. If like Smart Water were like, hey, you want a sponsor? I'm like, yes, I'll drink you all day long.
Or a beer sponsorship.
Or a beer sponsor.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like when I see those energy drinks, I'm like, what are you doing to my liver? First off, what's gonna happen?
Yep.
I used to have a friend in my 20s who have you ever seen those Red Bull little like mini trucks with the big Red Bull cans on the top?
Yeah.
She used to drive one of those. And her job was basically to go to events and just like hand out Red Bulls. So she always had like cases and cases of Red Bull on her at all times. And she'd always just give them to me. Like, hey, can I have a case of Red Bull? Sure. Here it is. So I'd have like multiple cases of Red Bull all the time. And I swear to God, I got like addicted to that stuff in my 20s. Yeah, nice. It was ridiculous. Like I had withdrawal.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that stuff has,
and I didn't drink as many as Pope did. What was that promotion for Destiny that he was drinking a ton of them?
Oh my God, that's
the monster stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, you know I bought some of those just so I could get the thing, and then every can I poured it down the drain and just took the ring pull. I'm just like, no, I'm not drinking this. This is no.
Do you drink coffee? Do you drink any kind of like?
Yeah, I drink coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
What about tea?
I was afraid that you drink like dirty water like they do in England.
the river Thames or Thames or whatever.
I drink tea.
I was talking about tea.
To be fair, I drink a lot of green tea, so I'm a cultured person.
And you're into pop? Me too. Don't talk around about Tefty though. He's a narc.
Oh my God.
And I currently have some fruit tea here, so I have some fancy teas. But yeah, tea, coffee. Yeah.
When you brew your tea, is it in a bag or is it loose leaf? Do you have like a special loose leaf brewer?
So speaking of which, it's interesting, right? So yeah, for my green tea, I do have a loose leaf. I've got different contraptions, and I just bought one the other day. I'm waiting for it to arrive. In fact, this was the thing I bought in the Black Friday sale, but I don't think it was actually in Black Friday sale. Imagine a glass container, right? And it's got two parts you fasten. So you take off the bottom bit and you put the leaves in there and you screw it back on. Put the water in this part, screw it on, turn it upside down. The water drains into there through a sieve. The leaves, of course, like brew the tea. Then you turn it upside down, and then the leaves are just in this container. And then you've got the glass. It's great.
That sounds great.
That does sound
great. It hasn't arrived yet, but I'll report back when it does arrive.
I forgot to mention.
It kind of sounds like a French press almost. But
yeah, for tea,
push
right?
it, you just use gravity.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot to mention that I also ordered a pound of my favorite black tea as well from Art of Tea that was on Black Friday sale. So I also bought tea for Black Friday. feel like,
Hey, look at this.
you know, we're similar wavelengths here.
I think we are.
Get the artisan tea, right?
This is great. I definitely like to get different types of teas. You see, just to kind of like to sample them and see.
Yeah, same. Yeah, because when you do the loose leaf style, they're really fresh. There's like tons of flavor in there. It's surprising.
Yeah, there's one thing I appreciate. This is a video game podcast, but there's one thing that I think I need to do. Right,
is a tea sponsorship.
Well, that true. There's a kettle you can buy that can actually because technically if you're brewing from like loose leaves, you actually want your water to be like 80 degrees and not boiling. So there's a kettle you can get that'll actually kind of boil to certain degrees.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I really want to go that far, normally I just turn the kettle off like a few minutes before it starts boiling, so it's roughly there. But I might have to invest in one of these because apparently the flavor comes out more in the tea if you get it at the right temperature.
It's
Otherwise
also
you burn the leaves.
Yeah, it's depending on herbal, green, and black teas. Like they have different temperatures that they're targeted towards, right? That you want to, if you want to be absolutely precise, to have your tea game maxed out.
To a T. Hey, look at that.
Oh my gosh. Where were we talking about before we got into tea?
Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
Was it that?
Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday, Mario.
It's still Cyber Monday.
Yeah, it's Cyber Monday right now.
Yeah.
And you know what it is next week? It's Cyber Friday.
Well, that's new. Is that new for 2020?
It's Cyber Friday because it's Cyberpunk Friday.
Oh,
Hey.
Nice.
I'm working on my segues.
Is that
next week? Next Friday. Next Friday.
Next Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be Cyber Tuesday. Doesn't quite have the ring.
Yeah, true.
Oh no, wait. No, it is.
I'll take
Sorry,
it.
Thursday. My bad.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that Cyberpunk comes out on the 10th?
Now I am a 10 because I feel like we are literally 10 days away, and I feel like if they were going to delay, if they were going to drop a yellow square, like I feel like you've passed that point. I feel like when you're a month before, you can say, "All right, guys, you know what? Sorry, we've had like an issue." Unless there was like some astronomical, crazy, like, okay, someone's pressed delete and we've deleted the whole build and we don't have a game anymore. I feel like it's just too close to be able to delay it. Because if you delayed it, like this is almost like canceling an event a day before the event. You're just like, you can't do it. People have been.
They booked their flights.
Exactly. The flights have been booked. Like I feel like it's too close now.
Oh, also, there's copies out in the wild, right?
True.
Really? I didn't know this. Are they like retail copies for the
some people have
Xbox and PlayStation?
Some people have broke release date because they're shady people.
Scumbags.
That's bound to happen if they start releasing footage on YouTube and stuff. And
I think so.
Copyright strikes.
Be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been happening. So I mean, it's tough for them to delay the game if they've already got retail copies circulating, right?
Well, you can buy it on eBay right now for $4,000 if you want to buy one of those early retail copies.
Let me head on over to a little Cyber Monday special. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's awesome. That's cool. Like, have you guys ever gotten a game early, like because they were selling it early at like a local store, and you just happened to get lucky?
Yeah. There used to be a local store near me that would just like they'd be like, no receipt, cash.
Yeah,
a week early. I'm like, okay.
Wow,
same.
I never got that treatment.
It wasn't a chain store. I think it was a chain store, but it was like a four store chain, and it was only in Connecticut, as far as I know. And they closed down since then. But they used to break street date on everything. But they knew they were doing it, and they would charge you extra for the game.
Yeah. I used to have to pay like a £20 premium.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always thought, why am I not putting these on eBay and stuff like that? Because like, especially with like modern war, like Call of Duty games, like people are dying to get those games ahead of time so they can like, make videos about them basically.
Right.
One of the reasons I did it in the early days, anyway, it wasn't trying to sort of like break street or like kind of get content early. The funny thing was one of the times I actually did it was so I could make a better impression, because this was in the early days when our channel was like super small, and like it was one of the first times we'd spoken to Sony, and they agreed to sort of send us a review copy for a game, but they also always wanted to like know how the videos did afterwards, and they basically sort of updated me to say that your code is not going to come until like launch day. I'm like, well, if I do that, my content is going to get like no views, and then when I go back to show you how my videos have done, it's going to be bad. So I went and got this copy early so I could make my videos still in line with embargo, But it then meant that when I went to report back and say, hey, here's my coverage, I was actually able to do something good. So I basically had to, even though I was being given a copy, I was like, I'm going to go and get my copy early so I can show you. And that was,
Thinking long-term relationship. That's good.
Yeah, that's some 3D chess you're playing over there.
That was 3D chess, yeah.
That's funny.
When I get a free game, I never talk to the company again. I'm like, oh, I feel like I just stole something.
A lot of times, I actually prefer to just buy it, so I don't have to do the hey, I got a code from so and so every time or whatever. It's like it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I'd rather just buy it, unless obviously you have early access and you can stream it early or give gameplay early.
That's the thing.
That's a different thing, yeah. But like
a lot of the time, like even if a lot of the time, like with a lot of recent games, like even though I get given like the code, I guess kind of a lot of people don't always realize, but like I'll also buy the games anyway, just because like for a lot of the time I want the physical collection. So like all my like I got given a PlayStation by Sony and they gave me all the launch games, but I've went and bought Miles, Demon Souls, Godfall because I want all the box copies. So I've bought my own copies anyway. And I do that a lot of the time, especially if they're Nintendo games as well. Like I just want the collection, so I buy half the games that I'm given.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you like? Have you ever like gone for like a complete collection for any system or anything? Like, how extensive is your collection?
No, nowhere that close. Like I don't think I could ever kind of do that because I'm just like because the thing is there's just so many games that I just don't like or don't want to play, and I'm just like I'm not going to buy it for the sake of it. I think the closest I've ever done is like if there's like a series I try to make sure I get all the collector's editions for those ones. Or like outside of games, the closest I got was like when the Switch came out, I started trying to buy every single color Joy-Con, which I was on top of for a while, even the ones that I had to import from Japan, until they started selling them only with new Switches, like the bundles. Like, you have to buy a Switch console. Yeah, and I'm like, well, I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to buy like a new Switch just to get the Dragon Quest controllers. I'm like, so now I'm behind again.
Yeah, and those are $80 anyway, right? They're pretty. Joy-Cons are expensive.
Yeah,
which
sucks
because they wear out like prematurely with the controller drift and all that. But I mean, they're expensive to get all the colors. Man, that's a expensive collection.
Yeah.
They should be sending.
I can't find my Joy-Cons. I was looking for them the other day because I was shooting a video, and I wanted the Switch to be like on the table in the video for B-roll, and I wanted the Joy-Cons to be on the Switch so it looked like a Switch. Yeah. I couldn't find them anywhere. It's been so long since I've used the Joy-Cons. I have no idea where they are. Like it's a complete mystery to me. And I have I'm actually pretty organized about my controllers. I have 2 boxes of controllers that I keep in like Ziploc bags to keep them fresh and keep them from getting dirty. So it's really a mystery to me how like these things could have gotten lost.
Don't forget, you can go on your, although if they haven't been in for ages, they're probably out of battery. But normally you can go on your Switch and there's a Find My Joy-Con feature which will make it vibrate.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple of years.
Okay, maybe that's
probably out of juice.
Yeah, I got a hold of those Hori pads and I never looked back. Like they're so much more comfortable for me.
Gotcha.
They're not good for travel though.
They came in red now, so I bought the new one.
Ooh, I like that. I like the red.
Nice.
But yeah, I haven't looked back. The only reason I would go back to them is for travel, which that's not really an option right now. So, and actually, I think I would just get a Switch Lite at this point for travel. I'm hoping for a Switch Pro.
Switch Lite is great. Yeah.
What's the rumors on the Switch Pro? Is this?
Some people are saying next year, but I think mostly it's just made up bullshit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was next year though, because I feel like there are some games, because like, for example, the initial rumor was that maybe it would kind of like it would launch with Breath of the Wild 2 because of but even like one thing that kind of surprised me as well was sort of like something like Monster Hunter, like Rise, which was coming out next year. Monster Hunter has pretty much as far back as I can remember always had like a collector's edition console with like their versions. You had like one for Generations, you had like the ones for like 4 Ultimate on the 3DS and stuff like that. So they haven't announced one for Rise. So either it's just not deemed big enough in their eyes, or like they're waiting because then the collector's edition is going to be on the Pro version. I don't know.
Damn.
But I feel like there could be those things. I mean, but there's definitely no like substantiated stuff. It's all the typical kind of just like rumors that kind of going around and stuff. And then people kind of at first people thought Breath of the Wild 2 might be like early next year, but some of the more recent rumors are now saying like summer next year. So
really?
Who knows really?
Unlike Sony and Microsoft too, is like in the planning phases, they know there's a pandemic happening. Like I think Sony is pretty. I thought I can't remember who it was at Sony who basically said, "Don't plan a console launch during pandemic." FYI, like that's not a direct quote, but that's essentially what he said.
Yeah, I can't imagine any of it has been smooth for any of the companies. Like,
no.
Yeah.
No, they just released a patch for the PlayStation 5, which I think fixed the front USB charging issue. Whereas there's one USB-A port in the front of the PlayStation 5, and for some reason, not for everybody, but for some people, if you plug your controller into that, it wouldn't charge it. Which was happening to me, and it was annoying. You know, it's not like I got to reach behind the console to plug in my charger. You know, it's not like a game ender, but I think that fixed it because now it's charging correctly. But like these things came in hot. You could tell, like both of them, the Xbox.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know what I've found is I can't plug in the PS5 controller into like a random USB power source and have it charge. It seems
same. I have found that too.
And that sucks because it's over here and I have to have a long ass cable over here in front of me to charge it when I'm in the middle of gaming. And I was like, man.
And those things do not last very long. The DualSense runs out of battery after like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like it goes quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of it's cramping my style, man.
My kind of counter to that is I bought the controller dock, so I've got 2 controllers now, so I just have them both on charge, so I can just swap them out if I need to.
Yeah, I don't like playing over wireless too. I'd rather have it plugged into the console because there is an option. This is another thing I'm not so sure it works though. Is there is an option in the PlayStation menu to like basically disable Bluetooth on your controller as long as it's plugged in. It'll connect via the wired connection.
Oh, okay,
but I'm not sure if it works because that might have also been a front USB port issue. I don't know. Like honestly, I haven't been playing a ton of PlayStation 5 because I did get that analog NT finally, which is a modern day $500 luxury NES.
Yeah.
And I've been playing that all weekend, and I'm going to do a review on it in the next couple of days, so we can also get B-roll and stuff. So the PlayStation 5 is collected dust for the time being until I can put some more time into it.
Yeah. I just... actually, should we start talking about Demon's Souls? Because I just started it.
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is actually how I found out that my controller was not charging. I was like, I had it plugged in. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think this thing's charging. What the hell? Then finally plugged it into the PS5 in the back. And it started charging. I was like, huh. So maybe it was trying to see different cables and all that. Anyways, I haven't solved that issue yet. But Demon's Souls, I finally started on Saturday. Played about 5-ish hours. And it is fantastic.
So good.
It's an incredible game that is unabashedly punishing for you to not pay attention to mechanics and how the game flows. It's great. It's such a great remake. I mean, like the levels are beautiful.
They look incredible, right?
Right? Yeah. Gorgeous designs. The bosses.
I feel like it's the most next gen game of all the games that are kind of the launch games.
Yeah, it's surprising too because it's an old game, right? And it has
it's a remake. It also Blue Point has come out and said the developers have come out and said there's still a ton of the From Software like original code underneath for all like the timings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this weird juxtaposition between an old game that has old like just the way it feels at times can feel old, and then these really high level visuals with everything like all the models, the enemies, the people you talk to,
frame
the
rate.
bosses, frame rate, lock 60 feels so good. At least so far I've seen has been a lock 60. I got to the spider boss, and that's where I called it quits for the night. And that thing just looks
How many bosses
incredible.
deep is that?
Well, you see the tutorial boss, the big goblin fat dude, and then you see the blob,
phalanx, right?
The phalanx blobs. Yeah. I beat that, and then I got to big shield knight dude and realized that I could
Tower Knight.
Yeah, Tower Knight. Realized I could investigate some other areas as well. So I went to that the mining area and got all the way to the spider. And that's where it's at so far for me.
I think that's where I'm at next because I just did the Tower Knight, and I uploaded a video of my painful playthrough. Right, but
Eric's painful playthrough.
It was. So here's the thing, right? I played it in a very different way to how I played. I played Dark Souls 3 as I play. I'm a Monster Hunter player, right? So as a Monster Hunter player, I learned that if there is danger, you roll, right? In Demon Souls and Dark Souls, they're like, hey, no, you just need to parry this stuff. So when I did my first gameplay, when the PS5 first came out, and I just like rolled a barbarian, just ran through the first kind of area, someone was like, oh, yo, if you're new to the game, don't be a barbarian, put a shirt on, be a knight, get a shield. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll listen to these people because the Souls community is actually really helpful, right? So I was like, all right, cool. I'll listen to them. So I re-rolled as a knight. Initially, I was disgruntled. I was like, well, now I'm heavy and now I can't roll. So okay, now I need to rely on the shield life. So I'm going around blocking. I swear I died more times getting to the Tower Knight because the amount of times when I get to the Tower Knight and there's a blue knight outside, I'm like, I'm going to parry him this time. And I miss it. I'm like, whoop. And he stabs me. I'm like, oh, we go back again. I died so many times. So then I finally went back in. I died many times to the Tower Knight. I didn't hide in my deaths in this upload. I kind of supercut them. But then we did a funny edit where we then got the rest of the team. They watched my playthrough and recorded their reactions and then put them in a window. So they were basically like laughing and commentating while I was doing it. And it actually came out as a really good edit. But oh my gosh, I went through so much pain. And then the comments were like, hey, we love this. We want to see more. And I'm like,
great.
That sounds like an amazing video. Like that
actually,
yeah, that sounds
it actually came out really well, yeah.
When'd you put that out? Because I want to go back and watch it.
That was on Sunday. That was Sunday this week.
Nice.
It's funny because it's about like 20 minutes long, and people were like, "It's only the Tower Knight." Like, what? I don't want to spoil it because my method for fighting him. Let's just say I adopt the slow and steady wins the race policy. So I won't spoil it. But
involves some fire bombs.
No.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious. I haven't beat I got to him, died. I cleared out all the enemies on the top, and then like.
So you haven't done Tower Knight?
No, I haven't beat him yet. I just got to him.
Oh.
And then like cleared out all the enemies, tested out, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to a different area. So my approach is a little bit different, Eric's. I also rolled as a knight, and as soon as a temple knight, I should say. As soon as I dodged and saw how fat rolling I was like, this is not going to work. So I immediately stripped all the armor off, and I've been going strictly.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, I've been going strictly as a naked temple knight that has been trying to parry. Like the parry window in this game is extremely small, and it seems a lot later. And if you got used to Godfall at all, Godfall has like the most generous freaking parry windows of all time. It's just obnoxious. You'd be like, that parried? Okay, sure. This game.
So does Tsushima, I feel like. So it's like I've been trained for these like really generous.
Exactly. And then Demon Souls is like, you need to be ultimately precise at all times for everything. I finally started getting some of it, but it's so punishing. And in the early stages, you have such little health. Well, especially if you're not wearing armor. Such little health that like it's almost a little too punishing to try to get the parry windows down. So I've kind of been relying on the blocking and dodging and all that. But I will say the iframes from rolling are pretty generous. You know?
Yeah. That's why I want to go back into it, because that's exactly what I did in like Dark Souls 3. I just pumped like every time I leveled up, I pumped it to stamina. I was like, give me a massive stamina bar so I can roll for days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I want. So I'm gonna, in my next episode, I'm gonna ditch all my tin armor, get a two-handed weapon. I'm like, I don't even need a shield. I just want to run around and be light and roll, and that's it.
I did a lot of that, honestly. Yeah.
Nice.
I think you get a good two-handed sword, like right near the beginning too.
Yeah.
The bastard.
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I spec'd into strength and all that.
And I did the whole thing in the preview window. I would just like you to know, just to update you, I carried on.
Have you tested it all? Did you like test the difference between the two after the discussion?
No. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
True. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, and you're right.
It's true. Well, having said that, I did forget to hit record in my preview window for my first 2 hours of my session. So I also played in the preview window and didn't even get the footage for it.
Got the latency and no benefit. Bummer.
That is my favorite thing about Elgato, like capture cards, is that they have that rewind feature.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's not standard for like everybody. You know, it's so convenient.
Yeah.
Like, I just did something cool. Rewind, record that, you know?
Yeah. But Demon Souls is incredible. I am absolutely loving it. I'm so thankful that I waited and I didn't get a PS3 to play Demon Souls. Like, I'm so happy that it paid off, and now I get to experience this game fresh as a brand new game, and it's so good. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so pretty too. Like,
yeah,
like it looks next gen, like in a huge way. Like there's that first demon boss, like that first tutorial boss that you're fighting, and like you kind of you get around to the back of him and you're kind of slapping him in the ass with your sword, and like the rolls of flat are like kind of flapping up and down and slapping into each other. It's just like, I mean, it's funny and it's ridiculous, but it's like kind of a wow moment. Like, damn man, like this looks stupendous and gross at the same time. Like it really looks amazing. Like walking around through the castle, like that first area that you really explore, the architecture looks good. It's filled with detail.
Yeah.
Like it's really like, it's outstanding. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, you are right. It does feel like a next gen title. Again, it's weird how it's got this old school vibe to it, but also just next gen, buttery smooth. You know, the frame rate, the texture maps, the lighting. It's just so well done. Like it has, I guess, like that simulated HDR thing going on. If you're not playing in HDR, if you are playing in HDR, you're seeing that obviously. But yeah, really cool. I can't wait to play more of it. I was like really tempted to just hop on last night and start streaming some more.
Yeah,
but I didn't. And now today I'm like struggling between, I want to play Destiny, but man, I want to play Demon Souls. Oh
yeah. It's good problems. Good problems.
True. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I'm incredibly enthusiastic about this generation of consoles, like much more than I was about the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Whereas when those came out, they felt like they were not that big an upgrade compared to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Like,
yeah,
you know, they're pretty good, but we're still like, we weren't getting any major leaps. Like, I feel like this time around, like these consoles are like really next gen. Like, you know, they load games so fast, they load levels so fast. We're running graphics like at high graphic fidelity with 60 FPS. Like Demon Souls at 60 FPS looks stupendous. Like you can turn it into like I don't know what it's called. Is it called picturesque mode, or it's a weird name for the mode, but it runs at 30 FPS. Oh, and it's like a higher detail level. Yeah, cinematic or something like that. And it's like, why would I do this? Like, it looks so good at 60. Like, why would I do this? Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of gamers like coming around to like 60 FPS. Like, oh, this actually looks pretty good.
except for Eric's.
You say except for me. I still can't tell it. You can put it side by side, and I'm just like,
That's so funny. Eric.
I mean, look. Let me be honest with you, right? If you take two screenshots, put them side by side, you're not going to be able to tell 30 and 60.
No, because screenshots. Yeah.
It's true.
That's true.
It's true. See, so look, right?
Time has frozen. Yeah.
Exactly, right? I'm just like, look, right? If you can't tell the difference between these two images, then I'm just gonna play as it is.
I was gonna say the previous gen, when they first came out, like the PS4 and Xbox One, they were essentially kind of like mid to low mid tier PCs. Remember?
Yeah.
Like the technology that they had offered was basically like, oh, well, you're putting that CPU in there? All right. This time around, we're finally getting like mid-high tier PCs in these. And it's going to pay off in strides because a lot of
these things they're expensive, but like I feel like it's worth it this time around. You know, it's more expensive than the last generation, but
yeah, and I can't wait to sort of see, you know, because the exciting times in generations comes to like the midway through towards the end of generation where the people really start to get a handle on the hardware. Like when we start getting this generation's equivalents, I mean, you know, like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, like Forbidden West, and they're in the grand scheme of things, they're coming early in the generation. So when you start thinking towards the end of generations and like Naughty Dog put out like whatever their equivalent to like The Last of Us or Uncharted is, and you start having those kind of games, like some of these are going to look phenomenal.
Yeah. And they're also probably going to take a decade to produce.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And there was a great interview. Digital Foundry did a great interview with Blue Point Games, the guys who redid Demon Souls. And like there was a conversation where it doesn't seem like it's going to be about like how many polygons can this console push as much as it's going to be about how much time do we have to develop all this, all these art assets to put in this game, right? Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, as the fidelity gets higher and higher, the requirement to develop that just seems to go up exponentially because you're putting in so much detail. It's like, where's that like that that medium ground or whatever, happy meeting ground where they can still put out games at a timely fashion, but have like high visual fidelity.
I mean, in the last generation, they had, you had your studio who was farming out work to other studios just to produce assets, artwork, and, 3D models of stuff. And I assume that's how it's got to continue. I mean, the $70 price point for a game seems justified to me, just because how much more development it's going to take to make these things look as good as they could possibly look.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that $70 price point for new games on the new consoles?
The thing is, like, I can understand, for like kind of it is a step up from what it was before, but I still ultimately think, like, and that's the thing, if you compare it to what it was before, you're like, oh, this is a steep jump. But like ultimately, when you still take the price of a game and you realize on average how much you get out of it, and you divide that amongst the thing, I still feel like you're getting great value, because I think there's so many people that often kind of like complain about that stuff, but it's like those same people will happily go to the cinema, watch a film for 2 hours, and spend like $20 or $30 on a ticket, or how I don't know what it is over like where you guys are, but like for me, you might spend like 16. Yeah, exactly right. So I think to myself, you get that for 2 hours and you're happy about it, but I can get a game and like, even if I get like 30 hours out of the game, which might not by modern standards might not be too much, 30 hours out of $70, it's not a bad price on a per hour basis, really.
Yeah. Like, I think there was an article a few years ago when games were still $60, and it like broke down like the cost per dollar of different like entertainment things, like going to the movies, watching TV. Like if you look at the average cable bill in the US, it broke it down like how many hours like you spend watching TV, and video games were by far the cheapest like form of entertainment. But that didn't include like the cost of the console, and it's just per, like if you average out like 30 hours per game. And I mean, back in the 16-bit eras, it wasn't unusual for a game to be $70 or $80, and that was 30 years ago. So.
I remember when like N64 games used to be stupidly expensive.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like if the game is not good, then it's really annoying to spend $70 on something.
That's a good point.
And I think right, like if you feel like it's just a poorly put together title and they charge you $70 for it, then it's gonna sting a lot more than if it was just like, I guess, $10 cheaper, $50 or whatever.
So what about Godfall? You think that should have been $70?
Yeah, you see, Godfall, I feel like Godfall was like a $40 game for me.
Yeah.
Like if I had bought that off of Steam for $40, I'd have been like, yeah, it was a cool title. $70 on the PlayStation, I do feel like that was more than it's tough to say, because like it looks beautiful, right? But it wasn't as fleshed out as I thought it could have been when it comes to campaign for a $70 title,
I think for me, when it comes to those kind of games, like even if they it comes out like, and they seem a little bit like half baked, or like not quite as like extensive as they sort of thing. I think for me, like I don't mind spending that if I know that I've got, like if I spent that and I'm like, oh, the game didn't end up being what it was going to be, but I still enjoy what I played. I'm like, I can accept it. Like for example, like Godfall, like I haven't played as much as I thought I would have been playing it. Like I enjoyed what I played of it. I know it's not, it wasn't perfect. There's a lot of things I need to fix, but the time that I spent with it, I enjoyed it. So I'm like, you know what? So even though if you compare it like side by side with another game, you might be like, it might not be the $70 price tag. I'm like, the hours that I got out of it, I'm still all right with it. But obviously, to your point, if I bought it and I'm like, this game is terrible, I don't even enjoy playing it. Like if I wouldn't like, I know I would never play those games, but I wouldn't pay $70 for like a FIFA game because I just hate football. I'm just like, this would be a waste of money for me.
It's just like if you were to go to the cinema and see a movie that you clearly were not going to like, and you went anyways and spent the money on it, you'd be regretful the entire time.
I think exactly. But I think to that point, I think it's why everyone's kind of got different like reasons for like wherever they kind of sort of like justify things. But even with like something like Anthem, which was obviously like a complete failure in that respect, but the time that I had with Anthem, getting up to the point where I realized, oh wait, this game has no end game and this game has no content and it's a bit rubbish now. The time getting up to that point was a load of fun. So even then I was like, well, okay, it wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be, but I enjoyed my time with it. So I still don't deem it. I don't deem that I wasted my money. That's I have a very kind of like laid back approach to like games. I'm just like, if I've had fun with it,
In terms of a price proposition, games are always going to have tremendous value, even the ones that aren't like that long or whatever. Like it's always going to be a very good dollar per hour value, regardless of most entertainment things.
I'll tell you what's going to really stick in my craw though, is that, you know, at some point I'm going to bring home a $70 game and find out it's just riddled with microtransactions.
Yeah.
And that's going to piss me off like that.
Yeah.
Like, Godfall, I'd have a much easier time recommending that as a $40 game than I do as a $70 game, because as much as I enjoyed it, I only put about 16, 17 hours into it. I had fun while I was doing it, but I don't really plan on going back at least until they add DLC. You know, Anthem, I put 60 hours in Anthem, and my time was enjoyable. I had fun playing Anthem. You know, I dropped it after 60 hours though. If you give me a game that is good, but it's riddled with microtransactions, and I feel like I got to pay more money to get, you know, the most out of it, and you already charged me $70, like that's gonna leave a bad taste in my mouth, like real bad.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's
100%.
interesting. Destiny has walked the line on that a few times with how they've done the model. You know, there's been a few times where they got real close to pushing it past, but then they dialed it back, and it's still, you know, it's still iffy. There's a lot of people who come back to the game to Destiny and then find out that, you know, now they've lost content that they can't access anymore that they might have paid for in the past, and it's an interesting problem with these games, you know. Well, especially for Destiny being a live service game.
Yeah, you know, like Destiny being a live service game, like it felt like there was a lot of games that were going to try and emulate that model, and it looks like people are stepping back from that, right? It's like
it does, yeah.
You know, like obviously it's super hard to build that kind of thing, but it's also super hard to maintain it, and I don't know that people are up for that like kind of grind over, you know, a decade.
Yeah,
you know, like watching like what Destiny has gone through, and like kind of watching the, you know, how do you monetize this? Is there a good way to monetize this? You know, like it almost seems like it's a better, like an easier thing for a free to play game to do. Like
Genshin,
Warframe. Yeah. Genshin, in that, like, look, if we don't charge them up front, then they're going to be more willing to buy the microtransactions, right? But if we charge them up front, that's how it feels to me anyway. It's like when I get charged up front, then I expect to get value for that dollar. I don't expect to get nickel and dimed while I'm playing the game.
Yeah, you expect to have access to the majority of the content for that entry fee, right?
Yeah, and like I understand why Destiny did it, but it does feel not great to see stuff I paid for not available anymore.
Yeah, I definitely understand that perspective of it for sure. From like the consumer point of view, obviously from the developer point of view, they got to maintain their game. They got to be able to push updates without having to slow down everything and have a better code base to manage. But from like a strictly consumer perspective, that's definitely dicey water to be treading.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast today, and they were talking about people who were addicted to Warcraft. And a lot of the conversation that they were having around that game, I was really thinking like, damn, this really relates to how Destiny is now. It's like, it really like kind of turned that into an MMO, and that like kind of, you got to log in every day kind of feeling.
Yeah.
This isn't the Destiny show though. Let's talk about something else.
How about James Bond?
I like talking about James Bond. Are we talking about old James Bond? Are we talking about goofy James Bond? We're talking about brooding James Bond?
Interactive being like, hey, we're going to bring you a new James Bond that you've never before seen.
Is it going to be all new? They're not going to use one of the movie actors?
Well, I mean, so they haven't kind of gone as far as that, but what we know is that from the little synopsis of it, then working title Project 007 will basically see you taking on the role of James Bond to earn his 00 license. So it'll actually be like an origin story, so like pre 007, which is going to be really cool. And obviously, IO Interactive are like literally of all the people that because I was saying to people the other day, like I remember a day where back in the day it would be like a James Bond game would come out and you'd be like, it's good, like, you know, GoldenEye, Nightfire, never like Everything or Nothing, you know. But then they started to go down the pan. But like giving this to IO Interactive is literally the perfect match because IO just make Hitman. Hitman is basically just a bald James Bond. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I wonder if they'll take some of the kind of goofy jank out of the game so that it kind of fits more with the suaveness of a James Bond.
Yeah.
Or if they'll leave it in and just kind of like none of the trailers will ever show any like briefcases flying around corners.
A briefcase, a supernatural briefcase sounds more in line with the James Bond universe than the Hitman universe.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Do you think that it would be? Do you think it's going to be a Hitman game with the James Bond license, or do you think it's going to be like a new creation?
That's the thing I was wondering about because I was thinking to myself like, well, they've got a new Hitman. I mean, obviously this would be like quite far away because they've obviously got like the new Hitman game, Hitman 3 is coming out on 20th of January. So by the time that that's out, they'll obviously be working on James Bond. But I think to myself like, they have a formula that will definitely work, and I feel like they could definitely take elements of that. But I think at the same time, Hitman is their franchise. So if they literally just skinned Hitman as James Bond and tried to sell it to you again, I feel like they'd almost been doing the series and themselves a disservice. Like they're a great studio. So I feel like they might take learnings from it. And like, for example, like I'm more of a third person like fan than I am first person. So like I would be quite happy if they made a third person James Bond game, much like they did like Hitman and stuff. But I will be interested to see whether like they kind of sort of like deviate slightly more away from it. I think they're going to want to create an experience that is unique, that isn't just like if the reviews come out and they're just like they just whacked a James Bond skin on this dude and it's still Hitman, then
yeah, I'll buy that for $70.
I mean, I would still buy it. That's the thing. I would. That's the crazy thing. I would 100% buy it, 100% enjoy it, and it would still be a great game. But I feel like they would probably want it to be more than just Hitman in a James Bond skin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, they're a really good developer. It's so cool that they got like it just feels right that they got this license.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it couldn't have been the most profitable deal for the guys who own the James Bond license, right? Like I'm sure they're getting courted by like the big guys like EA and Activision, right? But like it just seems like this fits so good. Like how could this not be a thing, right? Yeah.
Personally,
I don't know. Like
personally, I'd like to see like almost take the mechanics of Hitman, and then take the mission structure of say something like Uncharted and put that into a James Bond game. I would love to see that because
the big action scenes from Uncharted too. Work well,
and the way the levels flow and all that, but still have that Hitman mechanic and style of how you want to go.
That would be cool.
Go and approach something.
That would be awesome. Yeah. You just sold me, man. I'll pay $140 for that. I get the special edition.
Yeah, probably come with like a little fancy little like Aston Martin or something. You know,
yo, the collector's edition. Collector's edition is an Aston Martin.
Ooh, true.
Very expensive.
Imagine, but yeah, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be very cool. And obviously, and before that, we obviously get Hitman 3, so we get to enjoy. We get to train to be Batman, James Bond before.
Yeah,
it comes out.
Yeah,
Hitman games are my favorite games to stream. Like they're so fun because like you were saying before the podcast started that you like when you're playing by yourself, Eric's like you do everything stealthily and you get through the level fine. But really, the joy of those games comes when you fuck it up, right? It's like when everything hits the fan and you're just trying to like hold it together with like duct tape and wire, and just like get out of that mission alive. Like that's when that game gets like super fun to me. And like I don't know if there's another game that's ever done like controlled chaos the way the Hitman 1 and 2 have.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And they just allow for so much freedom, you know?
Have you ever seen that like for when it all goes wrong? Have you ever seen that like Hitman meme where there's like Hitman standing in a room, everybody's dead, and then they're just like and they'll be like, nobody will notice if there's nobody to notice. The floor is just dead. It's like, okay. Oh dear. No, but I love how like, but also even when things like don't go like too wrong, it's like I just love how there's all these intricate ways. There's so many ways to complete the levels. That's the thing that I've always just like. They've got so many like great replay values. There's like I could pick up any Hitman game and just like any day, just like I'm just gonna go and run through a level state and just there's always like some fun way to do it.
Yeah, there's so many ways of approaching the levels. It's really cool.
They do a good job of making them like kind of like having them pop out at you too. So like there'll be kind of like a note or something like, "Hey, did you know there's like a chandelier above the runway?"
Yeah, definitely.
What was the name of that model that you impersonate? Hair or something? God damn, he was the best.
I remember.
Anyhow, sorry.
Memories.
I really like the first
series.
one too. They're very good, and I can't wait for 3, and then I can't wait for see what they do with the Bond license. I think that's a genius matchup.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
gonna be good.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I'm very excited for Cyberpunk. Can't wait for that. I'm excited to see the future of what's going to be coming next year for games. Do we know what's coming first quarter? That's like big.
Monster Hunter Rise. We know.
That's first quarter.
Yes, that's March. Yeah. We have.
Is Resident Evil? Is Resident Evil coming out in January?
Not sure. Let me just double check.
Because they've typically done like a January, February release for a lot of their annual releases.
This is 8, right? The Village,
right? I don't know if it's this year or not, but they've been doing like a
tentative. Yeah, here's what we got. Here's what we got. Tentative games for like first quarter. So Cobra Kai, Hitman 3, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake.
Okay.
Coming then, The Medium, which of course that like horror kind of game. Into February, you've got Outriders, Neo 2 Complete Edition, Neo 2 Remastered, Little Nightmares, Bravely Default 2. That's a big one for people. Like I find that game incredibly slow and boring, but people that love JRPGs will love it. And then into March, you've got Monster Hunter, and that's all that's listed at the moment. And apparently Yakuza Like a Dragon's coming to PlayStation 5 in March if you like that weird game.
All right.
It's definitely on my list. I mean, I keep seeing clips of that game and I'm like, yeah, this seems good.
I'm just
the right amount of weird.
Yeah.
I tried it, right? I get that I didn't maybe invest enough time, but I tried to play the first hour. I swear the first hour is 59 minutes of cutscenes, and then I press one button. And then I got sent on a quest to go and get a toilet plunger for someone. I'm like, this game is not me. I haven't got time for this. I'm just like, no.
Watts is in chat. She mentioned Kina Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because of course there's not a date yet for that. But I think they did push. They did say it was Q1. I cannot wait for that game. That is going to be.
Yeah, that game looks amazing.
Ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the From Software game that they've been talking about for years now?
Elden Ring. Yeah.
Are we expecting that in 2021 or? Maybe
with the launch of Demon Souls now, I maybe fall next year.
I mean, they weren't involved in that Demon Souls remake at all.
Yeah, but no, I don't think I think publishing wise, they don't want to like slam their titles right up next to each other.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
the interesting thing to think about though. Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, like they haven't sort of said much about it for a long time. But I guess the other thing to look forward to is that next week, not only is Cyberpunk on the 10th, but also it's Game Awards. So we're going to get a bunch of trailers for like a load of games.
Cool.
So there's the rumored Silent Hills remaster. And supposedly also Bluepoint, now they finished with Demon Souls, are apparently working on a Metal Gear Solid remaster. Original one. That's the rumor. So... But they're talking like a full-on remaster, like Final Fantasy VII style. So they take like original MGS and give it the old bells and whistles.
Cool.
Have they said anything about the next Final Fantasy VII remake? The next chapter of that? No.
It's weird that they're talking more about Final Fantasy 16 than they are. Yeah. Oh, good Lord. I don't even know. Maybe they're just hoping like, if we show them 16 enough, maybe they'll forget about part 2 of Final Fantasy VII remake, and then we won't have to make it.
I hope it's not like 3 years in between each one.
Dude, didn't they say
I'm
that they
just
might be
started a console generation?
Yeah, didn't they say they just started making part 2? Like after that game came out? Or no, it was sometime after they finished in November or something. They're like, all right, let's start making part 2. It was like, my heart.
But it's gotta be faster, right? Because they don't have to build the engine from scratch. They don't have to build the character assets from scratch.
Yeah, in theory,
it's gotta be faster, right?
Yeah, it should just be. That's the thing. Technically, it should. It should just be more content than it should be like tools and stuff. Then again, they're also now having to navigate to a new generation, so there's probably going to be that cross shuffling and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
And they got to figure out what to do with the overworld, right?
Yeah, I mean they got quite a bit to develop on that side. So I'm thinking, if you don't want to get depressed about it, plan 2025.
What they'll do is they'll throw a curveball in there, but like, well, while you're waiting for part 2, we've remade part 1, but for PS5.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen.
They're definitely doing that. Yeah. That's a guaranteed.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't want to.
And I'll buy it too.
Yeah, I don't think I can play that game again. Like, it was fantastic, but I'm like, it's not a second playthrough for me. It's not. I'm done. I'm back for chapter 2. I very rarely play like games through a second time. Like, there are very few games in my gaming history that I've gone back and replayed many times. Like, normally there's Zelda games. They're the ones that I've replayed through. A lot of the time, like, I enjoy it. It's done. I look back fondly at it, but I'm just like,
yeah. For me, it's usually going to be like an action game, like something that just is more about like the action than the story.
Like Hitman.
Hitman is a perfect example, actually. I've played a ton of Hitman 1 over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Or that. Yeah. I don't even know what you call that. Was that 2016 that came out?
No, we're talking about the new Hitman 1 or the original Hitman 1?
The new Hitman 1.
I think, 2016. I think around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, is that SideQuest? Did we?
I think so.
Yeah.
SideQuest complete. Bring.
What are we going to talk about next week?
Well, next week will be just before Cyberpunk, so maybe we can have Cyberpunk predictions.
Okay.
We should do Game Awards predictions next week. We should talk about what we think.
That's a good idea.
Little bingo sheet. Yeah.
Game Awards bingo.
Yep.
I can dig that. We're gonna have to do at some point. We're gonna have to plan our own Game Awards too. Like, I'd like to.
Yes.
I don't know if we liked how we did it last year. If we want to modify that system somehow, but it's fun to kind of definitely arbitrarily pick the best game out of a series of games that's nothing like each other.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's great.
Hell yeah.
It's a fun game to play.
That is SideQuest episode number 73, right? I'm pretty sure it's 73. Thank you very much for watching, listening, hanging out. Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for supporting the show. You guys are awesome. And thanks everyone for hanging out live and also listening in your various podcast consumption mediums. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft, where I'll be mulling over the decisions of to play Demon Souls or to collect more loot in Destiny.
Definitely Demon Souls. Definitely Demon Souls. 100%. You can find me over on Twitter at Arix or YouTube, where this week I'm going back into the breach to try and fight more bosses and Demon Souls and get my butt kicked. So enjoy my pain, please.
You can find me at the Briar Rabbit on Twitter, where I post nothing but shit posts. And look forward to, I have the mini NT review coming out. I've been shooting B-roll for it all day. It should be up tomorrow or the next day. And that should be fun.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to
that. I might be surprised what I think about that.
Okay, cool. Well, that's SideQuest. We'll see you next week for another episode of all those things that we're going to predict about the Game Show Awards and Cyberpunk. Maybe Cyberpunk will get delayed by next week. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
That's on my bingo card.
Oh my.
All right, bye everyone.